Here's
Let me.
the thing. You are spirit having a physical experience. That's the thing. Remember, we talked, who are you? We've dissected the human body inside and out, and we've never found you. Like, we could say, okay, are you this part of your brain? Are you this part? No. You are spirit. You are that infinite being that's seeking expression through this physical body and through the programming that's been handed to you. But that spirit is infinite. We can't justify that you're limited to this and you're limited to that. We only have two sources of reference to go through: science and theology. That's all that we have to say this is what a human is actually capable of. And both of those arrive at the same conclusion: you're infinite. They can't answer the question. They have no idea what we're actually capable of. So that part of you is always seeking expression. So it doesn't matter what it is that you achieve. You're never going to get to a point and then go, I'm done, I'm happy. The whole thing is learning to live your life in a way that you're going to your next thing, because that spirit is always seeking expression and knowing that you can produce the steps to get there. There's the happiness. Like Earl Nightingale said, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And I know that that's heady. I know that that is. The first time that I heard that, I was like, what? I heard it from a training client. I thought he was trying to buy time so he, could confuse me and I wouldn't push him on to his next exercise. Like, I just kind of tossed it out. But it kept running around. We all know people, and you've heard of people that have massive amounts of wealth. Now, you envision that from maybe our point of view. You have endless money, and you go, oh my gosh, I would be amazed with that. But I promise you, you would only be amazed with that for a short while. Maybe it's a couple years for you. We know people that have endless amounts of money and are completely unsatisfied with their life. And I want you to know, in the training space and what it was that I did, I saw lots of people that had plenty of money to buy years worth of training with me, and they just had a lot of problems because they were facing the same thing that you're talking about, Jason. Your spirit and you're seeking fuller expression. So it's natural for you to want more. That's just a natural state, and you can accept it now. And the whole goal of this and what I teach in M3 is teaching you that process for achieving it. Once you achieve your goal, it was never the point of it anyways. The point is that you became the person who can do that. Once you became the person who can do that, who can solve that problem, who can get that done in your life, that can never be taken away from you. I can take the physical stuff away from you, and you could just go manifest it again. But from there, you're going to want to achieve something else. So you're always really just growing into the next thing. So I think, brother, just embrace it. We're all doing it. There's just a few of us that are really, really aware of it. So with that being said, were you going to say something, Savannah?
Yeah, just real quick. As we're in this meeting, I got a text from my boss and basically booked me 25 more lessons at $30 an hour with a couple. So weird, but she was like, would you want this? I was like, $30 an hour, 25 times. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And it's
And the
not
thing
weird.
is I like what I do. I'm not in a career where I'm like, oh, I gotta go to work, like you
Mhm.
get to go dance for a living, and I
It's
love to
not
dance.
weird.
So
I want to tell you that. And everybody here, listen to what Savannah's saying, because she's flipped over and she's been changing her vibration every day and she's been focusing on it. This is something that you can expect. It's totally normal for this to start to happen for you. And you can expect more of it, Savannah. Just keep staying in that vibration and keep doing it. And that's what tonight's about. You actually hit on something. I'm going to steal the screen, Jennifer, um, about how I asked you a question. We're going to tap into our higher faculties tonight. Oh, wait a minute. I have to share my screen. Where was I? I'm amazing at technology. I have to laugh for that one. Okay, that goal's a little far out there for me. Advanced. Let me share a portion of my screen. Let's go. Here it is. So you hit on something that was very powerful, Savannah. And you said, I asked you a question. And that question was, if we're having this conversation a year from now, by the way, I do this a few times with people, when we're talking, because most of us don't give ourselves permission to actually think about life in terms of what's perfect for you. What do you really want? Well, I don't think that I've been taught that I can have that. And if I ever said I wanted something like that, it just got shot down. And then the people around us did that. They're not bad. That's their programming. And they were handing that over to you. That was the best way that they knew to teach you, because that's what was taught to them. And this stuff gets handed down from generations. But when I ask you that question from a different point of view, you used your brain differently. I said, look, if we're having this conversation a year from now, and you just had the greatest year ever for you, it's been the most amazing year that you've ever had. What are you telling me? What happened? And then all of a sudden you take a different perspective and you just circumvented that programming and you start thinking outside of the box. And that's what we're doing today. That's what M3 is all about today. Today's called the trick to staying in charge. And the sub is no matter the circumstances. It's actually called thinking into results. And you'll see a little bit later about what that is. But we're thinking about ways of producing solutions for what it is that we want. That's all. And it's all the same. Your goal is nothing but a bunch of challenges that stand in front of you, between you and that. And those challenges, we can call them problems. Problems show up in our life anyway. They really do. You're consciously choosing now which direction your problems are going to go when you say, I set a goal for myself. But we all know that. Problems show up for you. So learning how to overcome those problems, how to find the solutions and think outside of that box, the way Savannah just talked about, the way I asked her a question to do that, we all have that capability. But the first thing that we have to understand is that is it's a possibility. For every question, there's an answer. There really is. For every problem, there's a solution. And I tell people this from the point of view, walk outside and stand there for a minute and stare up. You're going to see an airplane. How many problems do you think those Wright brothers had to face before they achieved that? Huge problems. The world thought they were nuts. And if that's not enough, grab your cell phone. That's a computer that's stronger than the first computer that was in this rocket to go to the moon, the first rocket to go to the moon. Now everybody, even the people in the most impoverished states, have a cell phone. We've all got them. If you think there weren't problems to be faced in achieving that, think again. But they were all overcome. And that's proof enough to understand that any problem that you're facing, there's a solution. We just have to get outside of that thing that says, oh, that's not for me. I can't, just let it all go. So in between you and your goal, you're just in a vibration, and it's a feeling about what that is. And that's exactly what it is. For those of you that are coming on tonight, it's very important. You can hear this stuff and you're going to go, yeah, that resonates. But to make it really snap into place for you, it's all the same if you learn it, but you're really going to learn it, and it's going to be profound for you if you set a goal. So there's a way for getting your goal. There's a way to dial your goal, so to speak. Your goal is on a frequency too. You're vibrating from a frequency that's habitual. It's programmed into you. It means you're thinking, acting, operating, sending out a vibration, feeling according to a belief all the time, 96 to 98% of your day, that causes you to get the results that you see down here on you. The way to get your goal and to start to make that stuff show up, the first thing is to decide, like Savannah, and say, well, this is what I want. And you just switch something very simply. You don't have to figure out how to do it. If you knew how to do it and you really wanted to do it, wouldn't it be obvious that you were already going to do it? Yes. So we don't know how to do it, and that's fine. That's actually a good prerequisite. That's exactly the prerequisite we need in the coaching that I do, because the goal is meant for you to grow into it. You want to grow into the person who can do that. And the way you flip the frequency to say, this is how I'm going to do that, is to make a decision. It means you cut off from everything else. You're not going back. You're not playing it safe. You're saying, I'm going all in toward this thing. Look what's happening for Savannah. She's got sessions just coming now. She's opened up the floodgate for this stuff to come for her. And you change two words. Am I doing this? Am I going to do this? You're letting that run around in your head and kick you in the stomach every New Year's, or whatever it is that a person feels when they think about it. Am I going to live my life like this, or am I going to go after the thing that I really want? Did you say, I am doing this? That's it. I'm doing this no matter what. I'm not going to do something else. I'm not going to play it safe. I'm not going to put a plan B. I'm doing this. Now you dial the frequency of your goal. Now you open up the door for that to show up for you. This is where your answers start to show up. When your answers show up, they show up in the form of take this action. And you know it's the right action to take. And yeah, it feels funky. And you're like, oh man, I don't know. This is kind of far out. I've never done anything like this before. You're going to run into those challenges. And that's what we're talking about today. To fill in the gap between you and your goal, it's just a matter of solving challenges. Solving these challenges. And you would agree that if you solve enough challenges to keep you moving forward, you're going to get your goal. So that's all we're doing. That's all today is about. Remember that we're looking at our results just like as we looked at our results before, and we're going to look at them indifferently because they are not who we are. Our results are indicative of our programming. It's something that we've had handed to us. So it causes us to do the vibration thing and act and operate in a certain way. We go out and push up against the world and we get a result. But the behavior, our behavior can be changed. Therefore, your results can be changed. Your results are not who you are. You're that infinite spirit living in this physical body. You're already perfect as you are. You're just trying to seek expression through that type of stuff. So results, don't get down on yourself with the results. Let them go. Some of your results are going to be negative. It means I don't really want that. Other results are going to be positive. Awesome. Keep doing that. Keep moving toward that. It's getting you what you want. Albert Einstein said, we can't solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. And yet that's what most of us go out there and do. We actually look at the problem and we think the next worst thing of the problem is like, oh, then that's going to happen. And then if that happens, I don't know if I can take that. And then that's going to happen. And the thing, and it really starts to build because that vibration gets inside of us and we're sending it out. And we're using the same thinking that actually caused the problem. So profound what he says there. We have to come up with new thinking, completely new thinking. Buckminster Fuller was an architect. I found this out from a Procter Gallagher consultant who came in on one of my coachings and she facilitated part of the lesson. And she said, because she was in the architectural field, but he said something makes such sense. He says, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. The more we fight the existing reality, the more power we give it, the more energy we put into it. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. And you're the new model. That's what we're doing in M3 Mastermind. We're building the new upgraded version of the programming that lives inside of you. What you know you're capable of, what you know you can achieve. So what's the challenge with all this stuff? Well, we're taught once we reach a certain age, stop looking out the window, stop doing that, kid, you just pay attention. And I'm guilty as anybody else in terms of this with my kids. Just pay attention. Live through your senses is what you're taught. Our senses are in our conscious mind. See, hear, taste, smell, touch. Our senses have no bearing on what can happen in the future. This is where we get things called like report card syndrome. Kid gets a bad grade on the report and then the kid goes, oh man, I'm a D student. I'm an F student. So now when it gets a chance for the kid to, hey, here's a chance for you to be an A student, or you actually know the answer. Nah, I'm a D student. I don't do that. That's where we take that senses stuff and we internalize it. The senses, when you look at a report card, that just is showing what the kid did 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, a few months back, how they took a few tests. It's indicative of how they behaved a while back. It has no bearing on the future, but we're taught to live through our senses. So we give them all this profound meaning and they don't. They're just antennae sticking out of the top of our head like this picture that tell us something about what's happened in the past and something about what's going on now. They have nothing to do with what you can achieve in your future. Use them as that too. Use them as antennae. Just get feedback. That's your results. How do you look at your results? Indifferently. I want this. I don't want that. Adjust. Keep going. So what we're going to be doing is using our higher faculties. We're not taught about these in school. We're going to use our perception. We have all these. Perception is our point of view. Very simply put, perception is looking at it through another person's perspective. If you have somebody in your life that is somebody that you look at and say, you aspire to do what they do. I wanted to say, you want to be like them. I only want you to be like you. And I want you to know that. You're the only unique expression of you there ever was or ever will be. But you can always aspire to what somebody else is doing. And when you see somebody like that, you can take on their perspective. And you can say, well, how would they do this? Would this be a problem for them? What would be the step that they would take? So now you start stepping out of the box. These people don't have to be alive either. I read Think and Grow Rich. I read Wallace Wattles' The Science of Getting Rich. And you get to know those authors. And you can ask yourself that same question, well, what would they do? What would they do in this situation? And you get just a profound different look at the situation. Answers show up. Imagination is a higher faculty that we have. We can create fantasies in our imagination. We can create whatever it is we want. In this lesson today, we're going to look at it from the point of view of, in our imagination, we can feel what it feels like to have the problem already solved. Because once you get into that vibration and that feeling, again, you're just dialing your goal and those answers are coming to you. Intuition picks up vibration and translates those vibration. This is one that gets a little strange for people because people say, well, that's kind of like a sixth sense. Some people are blessed with that. Some people aren't. We're all blessed with an intuitive factor. It's just whether or not we're being tuned into it, whether or not we're being, when you were younger, you knew how, you knew what it was. You knew what it was to walk into a room and know that something was off or wrong and no words were said, no action, nobody moved, but you felt it. That's your intuitive factor. We all have it, and you can develop to the highest level that you want it to be. Your will gives you the ability to hold one picture, one focus on the screen of your mind, and you're excluding everything else. Your will is developed through the process of meditation. And it sounds really easy just thinking about one thing. People go, yeah, no problem. And just think about staring at the tip of your finger and do it for a while before you realize how many other thoughts in your life start flooding in and how much your mind has been trained to not do that. So developing your will takes whatever it is that you're doing and it hyper focuses all of your mental strength on that. Memory is the faculty by which the mind stores and remembers information. There's no such thing as a bad memory. That's the faculty that all of us have had trained the most because that's what school works from. In school, we read, remember, and repeat. We're working from memory. We're not internalizing it, but you're remembering. By the way, memory can be used too, and it can be revised. You can go back and you can take a memory and you can look at it about what was good. You can revise that memory and you can change it to parts that you want to believe. And so what we would call a negative memory can actually be changed into something positive in our life. And reason is our ability to think. Draw that energy in that's constantly flowing to and through you and form it into things. That's one of our most profound things we have is God's highest form of creation. We can form images of things that we want. We can look at ourselves outside of ourselves and think about something in the future that we want. And we can also take that reasoning factor and think about things that we don't want. Either way, we're pulling that energy in and we're forming it into something that's going to take shape in our life. That's reasoning. So here's the thing. This is what most of us are doing and are taught to do. Results into thinking like the masses. If you don't want to wind up like the masses, confused and frustrated, most of the world is. How does it work? I don't understand why this happens all the time or why this, life keeps being this way for me. This is what people do. They take their present results. Do you see the box around that? And they allow that to direct their thoughts. And then they become emotionally involved in some of those thoughts. That's what we call feelings. That's what gets down into the subconscious. And we act based on feelings. So it causes actions that are in harmony with those same results. And around the hamster wheel goes the same results over and over and over again. And nobody ever knows that you can do something different. You don't have to do it that way. Now, the 1% of the world out there that go out there and actually get what they want, they might not even know that they do this. That's why this is so profound to see this stuff in M3. Of the 1%, as we said last week, 96% of the wealth in the world is held by 1% of the population. That's a fact. That's just the way that it is. But of that 1%, they can't even tell you what they're doing, most of them. It's very few that actually have this information that's right here tonight. They begin with a new thought, a new train of thought. You see the box around there? What do I want? That causes different feelings. Those feelings cause different actions to be taken, which causes different results. Remember, our actions are something that we're doing, that we're pushing up against the world, and the world pushes back up against us, and we call that results. Now we get new results. We look at those results indifferently and go, okay, what did I get that I wanted there? What did I get that I didn't want? And then you begin with a new train of thought, but you always start with the thinking. That's why we call it thinking into results. Think like the 1%. Napoleon Hill, the guy who wrote Think and Grow Rich, said, an educated person, by the way, education comes from the word educo. It means to draw from within. That's what it actually means. You're teaching people how to do more of what they already know how to do. Yeah, we gather information in books and we memorize things, but you already know how to do these things. You didn't need to read a book to learn how to walk. Is that a funny picture? Imagine, handing a child a book and say, come back when you get done with that and, and you're walking. I mean, that's hilarious. You knew how to do it. You got up and took action. He was drawing from within. An educated person is not necessarily one who has an abundance of general or specialized knowledge. An educated person is one who has so developed the faculties of their mind that they may acquire anything that they want or its equivalent without violating the rights of others. That's pretty powerful for a guy who studied 500 of the world's most successful people for 24 plus years. That's what he came up with. So a recap of that, the trick to staying in charge, the small, profound shift. If you're going to be like the masses, you look at your results, those present results, those cause your thoughts, which cause your feelings and action. And what equals in your life, you get more of the same. And by the way, I had this conversation this week. A lot of this stuff is deep. Some of this stuff was programmed into us when we were just kids, something that we saw over and over again in our life. And we don't even realize that we're doing it until we look at our results. We're like, man, you can go back in your life and you can go, geez, there that situation is again, and there it is again. It's programmed very deep, but it's susceptible to change. It's not hard. You just have to define what it is that you want. And once you have that defined out, you get the opportunity to now be part of the 1%. Choose your thoughts, which cause your feelings, which cause your actions and cause your results. You see the wheel as it goes round and round again, and you can look at it from that point of view. Where do I want to enter this wheel? Because we're all doing it. We're just entering it at different places. We're either entering it at the results and we get heavily involved in that feeling of the results, or we're coming up with what it is that we really want, our new thoughts. When you learn to act, think, act, and operate like the 1%, life, you're always in charge and you're able to create any results that you want. I want you guys to know this, that our higher faculties are already perfect. We've allowed them, if you think of it from that point of view of we've lived through the senses, and you think about like you have one arm here and you tie this other arm up and you never use this arm and you lift weights with your senses arm. And that arm gets strong and we get really good at living through our senses. Our higher faculties, we just have to break them out again. All they require is development and to use them regularly. And before long, you'll find yourself naturally saying, I'm imagining what I want, not imagining what I don't want. I'm going to turn my little heater off here. They're not something you're either born with or not. That's a misnomer. And that one applies especially to intuition. You have intuition just like anybody else, and you can develop your intuition to actually read people's energy. I just recently had a big moment with this because I didn't realize what an empath I was. And when I would take on people's energy because of what's happened in my life previously, I would internally, if a person was not in a happy place, I would start going inside and start thinking like, what can I say? What can I do? How can I can sing and dance in a way so that I can bring this energy up? And it was exhausting. And I realized, you know what? That's not my energy. And so when I had this moment when I'm like, that's my intuition, and I'm picking up on another person's energy, and that's not my responsibility. My responsibility is my energy. So as long as I keep my vibration high, that's where I actually have the ability to help that person. I can't go down to the level that that person's at on a negative energy and somehow make things better by being negative and they're negative or whatever. I can't feel bad about the fact that I can't raise their energy. I can't say the right thing because I'm still in a negative space there too. All I can do is say I feel good. I'm happy and I choose to feel good. What am I thankful for? That's been a big thing for me. We don't have to get on other people's roller coaster. Begin developing your higher faculties, guys. This is the trick, the real trick to staying in charge of any situation. And your goal, as I said, is just a series of challenges that you're going to face. If you don't have a goal in your life, it doesn't matter. You're still going to face things in your life. You're going to have big things come up in your life in the form of challenges. So begin developing your higher faculties so that you can learn to overcome those things and become that person that can do it. That's the point of this. That's the profound thing in M3 that we do. Just give you that serenity, give you that peace to understand that you can overcome anything. So let's take action with this stuff. I want you guys to write out a situation that's not going well or something you would like to improve. And by the way, this is where you can take your screenshots when you're at M3. You can screenshot this stuff. That way you have your steps in front of you and you can go do it this week. This stuff it doesn't mean as much to hear this and not do something. You want to take this and go apply it in your life so that you can get the results. So write that situation out. It's a situation that you'd like to improve, something that might not be going well. Write it in detail. Remember, the devil's in the detail. You're going to find so much stuff in there about what you think, what you feel, what your programming is. Notice the thoughts that you naturally have about this and don't judge yourself about that. Just notice what's happening, because when you notice it, you can be real about it and go, gosh, I'm doing this everywhere in my life. Are your thoughts negative or are they positive? And that's simple. Am I thinking about more of what I don't want? Am I getting really nervous about what I don't want? That could show up in my life, or it's going to show up in my life? Or am I getting excited about this? It sounds crazy to get excited about a problem, right? So we're not taught that. But the bigger the challenge that you face in your life, the bigger the reward on the other side. If you're facing a big challenge going towards your goal, that means you're going to take a massive leap to your goal. If not, land right on your goal. Small problems are only going to give you small solutions. They're nothing to get really excited about. It's the big challenges that you can really get excited about, because you're going to grow massively from that. So use your higher faculty of reason first and have different thoughts about this. Think about ways to make it better. Get outside of your box. If you're in business, I like to use this example. You can look at an industry outside of your industry. You can look at a business that's not what you're doing and look at how they do things. So often there's a solution in another business out there that, when applied to your life, your business, your challenge, it just blows it up and makes massive success for you. I talk about this when I took my big leap in training in an area where trainers did not make the money that I took a huge leap forward to start earning here. I started earning money as a trainer here in Tulare that nobody made that kind of money as a trainer. And where did I get my idea from? My idea came from actually the hair industry and how they rent booths in the hair industry. Once I applied that idea to my training space and showed it to the right people, they jumped on it and it gave me the ability and I took off. My business changed. I mean, night and day. Overnight, my business just changed. Think outside of the box with your reason. And another way to do reason is to get the first step is get the problem out. As we said, write it out. And then once you set that problem out on paper, understand that there's a problem. Now the problem's on paper. It's not in me. Now it's there. And you can look at it different. It's not part of me. Now it's right there. It just gives you a different perspective. Try thinking in terms that the problem's already solved. It's already solved for you, and then begin to work backwards. And just really be aware of what's showing up. What shows up for you when you do that? The second thing to do is use perception to see the situation through another person's eyes. Anybody that you can think of that could solve this problem. It doesn't matter. The choice is yours, the person that you want to choose. What would they do? See somebody who could not fail with this, or somebody who this is just not a problem for them. It's just no big deal. From their point of view, what do you see? And write it down. Next, use your imagination to see this situation as you would already like it to be. It's already done. Feel that feeling. There's something I want to add to this. It's called a congratulatory conversation. When somebody's telling you, and you're actually looking through your eyes as you're imagining, and somebody's telling you, man, that's amazing, you know, whatever conversation they're having when they're congratulating after you've already succeeded. Or if you have overcome something profound in your life, talking about the problem, talking about the challenge in the past, how cool it is that you are where you are now and that you overcame that. And let that vibration really sink in, really get into that feeling, and then let that feeling send out there, because that one, imagination is just the most powerful faculty. That one is going to send the vibration out that's going to bring to you what you want. But you can backtrack from that situation. If you see that situation as it would always, as you would want it to be already, you can backtrack, and then you can brainstorm the ways that that could have happened and write the brainstorm ideas down. Now we take that last faculty, and by the way, we didn't use memory or intuition. We left those two out. I did that purposefully. We can use our will to hold your thoughts on any of the solutions that you produced previously in the previous 3 steps, and really focus on just that. That's where the power of the will comes in. No other thought needs to come in, and they're going to want to. Your programming is going to show up, and it's going to say, how are you going to do that? How do you expect that to happen? That's just old programming. You just watch those thoughts flow by, and then just focus back on the feeling, the wonderful feeling of having overcome your problem. If your focus shifts away, bring it back to the solution you have created. Notice what you're feeling. What actions are you inspired to take? Now you've started with a new train of thought. Take your action. When you feel like that there's something that comes up from this way of thinking that you need to do, you need to do it. Go out there and do it. Push up against the world with that action taking and go get those results. Because now you're getting on the wheel the right way. And there's nothing that you can't overcome with this, guys. This is really a powerful lesson in thinking into results in M3. So I hope you guys get crazy value from this, and I hope this springboards you toward anything that you're wanting to do or any challenges that you're facing in your life. I have the 333 article. They really talk about using this in a powerful way, producing $3 million in three days. These people came up with an idea of how to produce $3 million in 3 days, and they were going to produce the $3 million in 3 hours. And that's where the 333 comes from. And the way that they walk through the process of doing it is so cool. They use just the same stuff that they're talking about. And I'm going to spoil it for you. Spoiler alert, they did it. But it's cool the way they talk about doing it. So that article's in there. And for those of you that came on tonight and you're new, I don't send invites out regularly just to anybody. This is our crew at M3. If you've got value from that, you're going to see the link in the chat. Just sign up for M3 Mastermind. It's 30 days free. After that, it's only $9.97 a month. So you really get to see this coaching in a way that you can decide, is this something that it works for you? Is it something that you want? Do you like this information? Does it feel good? And then you can make bigger choices later, is if you want to go deeper into the coaching. But this is one of the easiest ways to dip your toe in and say, is this something that I want to do? Next week, we're going to be talking about self-image. Environment is but our looking glass. And we're going to talk about the fact that not only do you have an image for everything else in your life, but you also have an internal image for you and who you are. And ultimately, that image shows up in your world. And that image, once you understand what it is susceptible to change in any other way, just like anything else that you hold an image of. You're able to change your self-image. You can see yourself as being what it is that you want to be, and through a process, you can become that person. Questions, takeaways? My M3 family?
I had a couple things I wanted to say, especially talk for this group. Was his name Jason? He's not up here anymore. I can't remember his name, but he had said, he had asked something about like, what do you do, or do people make it to that point of being completely content? And you spoke on it really well, but I did reach that point. I did feel like I had accomplished everything that I wanted. I had family. I had like the social life circle. I'm living by the beach. I'm steady working, and those were my basic goals. And that's what ended up happening. I set my goals, I accomplished them, and they were pretty basic. And then I just kind of went into autopilot and didn't really know what to do with myself. I'm noticing that the biggest key in keeping this view, as I said to you, it's like a new view, is the work. It's just setting the goals. It's putting in the work. It's getting up every day and knowing that as long as you continue to chip away at this, it won't stay. It can't stay anymore. So I wanted to touch on that really quick, but there was one other thing I wanted to say too, in regards to giving yourself those proper pep talks. One of the main things that I started to notice recently that I do when I'm talking, I'll get really pumped or amped up about something, anything. Like I feel that ambition, that drive rise up within me, and I'll start to speak on it, and I'll feel my passion sprouting out from within me. And then I feel like this drop, and I swear, like the drop that I feel within myself is like a drop of confidence. It's almost like this thing just rushes in to like attack all that like confidence that I have. And usually the action that comes out is all trail off. Like I'll be on a rant about how I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And then I'll get that like crazy feeling of like, wait, do I really know what I'm talking about? And like, if I'm in a conversation with somebody, I'll trail off and say like, I don't know, like I'll be like, I don't know. But that's such a cop out. And that's like one of the main things I'm trying to like nip out of my life right now is I don't know. Cause like I'm smart. So like I do know. And if I put a little bit of extra thought into those things, typically I do know. And I feel like that's been a big hiccup for me growing as a person throughout the entirety of my life, because anytime that I felt a lack of confidence while speaking or even fluidly thinking, I would just drop it and dip and just be like, oh, well, yeah, I'm not too sure about that. So we just won't think about it anymore.
It became a pattern behavior for you. And so, it kind of became ingrained. And so thank you for sharing that, Johnny, because like right now we can just say like, what do you want to happen in those moments? What do you want yourself to do when you're speaking that way?
Yeah, you're asking me genuinely?
Yeah.
I think I talked to you a little bit about this. The main thing that got me on this was that I want to speak confidently, feel like I want my confidence back. I want to be ready to approach or embrace or reject anything that comes into my life. I want to have that power back, and I don't feel like I necessarily have that because I do question myself. I want to healthily question myself. I want to make sure that I'm on point, but I don't want to hinder myself through anxieties or lack of confidence. I think that that's foolish. And like we were saying, like it's all about taking steps to eliminate that. And just talking to you guys about this right now, it puts a pressure of accountability on myself. Like I'm basically speaking this out loud to kind of check myself, but also sharing with you guys at the same time that was something I noticed. And I don't know if somebody needed to hear that, but dude, the I don't knows are killing me because I know. And I think that we owe it to ourselves to complete our thoughts, to not do the I don't know, especially because, I mean, we're all smart enough. I don't know. I shouldn't speak for anyone else, but for myself, I
You're
should be
right
working.
on. You're right on, man. And I appreciate that you shared that. That's perfect the way that you said it too. Because you just totally, we had such a good conversation this week, man. And I really enjoyed it. Um, so what you're addressing is that you're programming and you see what it is and it came out and you said it. Like I'll get on a rant and then I kind of trail off and then something happens, and so that's programming that lives inside of you that causes that behavior. And the way that will change that is just say, I always say exactly what I want, right when I want, and I say it clearly. I mean, that's that, and it's in the present tense, and you just live from that moment. And understand that you didn't come into this world saying, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Johnny." Like we walk down that path of saying, say you're Johnny, and you're like, "What?" You just drooled on yourself for a long time before that became, and now you don't hesitate. Like I don't hesitate to say, "Hey, how you doing? Johnny? I'm Matt." I don't say I'm
Yeah.
Steve or Joe or something. And it's the same. That programming is the same. And so we just begin to speak from ourselves that, and you'll be amazed at what's going to show up. I always say what I want to say confidently. I get my ideas out clear. If that's something that you're wanting, it's not my job to put your goal in your mouth, but for you just make it what it is that you want and speak to yourself from that point of view. That's going to program you to receive it, and it's going to program you to take that action, brother. Thank you for sharing that.
You're very welcome. And thanks for your.
Thank you.
I would like to input something. So would Emery.
Hi,
yeah.
Emery.
I guess if we don't know like our goal, I'm reviewing our notes a little bit of writing out the problem. What don't we like in our life, and then your initial thought on that, and then using your reasoning and your perception. So how would other people view that problem, and how would they work through it? If you were already perfect at eliminating that problem, it wouldn't be a problem in your life, right? So how would someone else attack this problem? And hey, maybe someone's using you as a reference for their problem that you're good at eliminating. And then imagine the situation being solved, and then using your will to kind of stay on track with that. So I just wanted to kind of point that out, because for me it was kind of hard to pick a goal of what I wanted, but I know what I don't want. So I just kind of, I like today's lesson and how it's all put out. I'm gonna have to rewrite out the questions and everything from the screenshots, but yeah, I like that.
Good. Did you ask me a question in the beginning part of it though, of that, or no? You were just sharing what it was that you'd kind of taken away. Yeah. Sometimes, Savannah, it's like we can do the 180. I call it the George Costanza. It kind of dates me because I watched Seinfeld. But like you just do the complete opposite, and you look at the complete opposite thing, and you ask yourself, well, if this is the thing that you're not wanting, if what's the complete opposite, is that something that gets you, excited? Sometimes you find it that way too. Good. I'm glad you liked it. I like this lesson a lot too. We've heard people tell the story so many times why they, oh, I went out to go do the thing and I couldn't do it, and they tell it with emotion, and we take that stuff in, and you don't want to tell somebody that's not true in a way that's, negative or bad for them, but you don't want to let that stuff get on you either, because that's not true. We have the ability to create solutions no matter what. And as long as we can create solutions, it doesn't matter what goal we set. We're infinite. We're going to get there. You just have to keep moving forward and keep moving forward. And when you run up against something that feels like, oh my gosh, I cannot move forward, awesome. That's a big problem, because the moment you solve that one, you're going to take a huge leap forward. You see how I just flipped it right there? Instead of stopping where a lot of people would and be like, no, man, now I'm going to tell the story to the world. You can get really excited about that. Understand the base of what we create right here at M3. Oh, yeah, you can. You can. Anybody else? All right, my M3 family, we're coming right up on 7 o'clock. Appreciate you all. So glad you guys showed up. Like I said, you got value from this. You like this stuff. Grab that top link. It's m3coaching.me and sign up. Become part of our family here and find your goal. You're going to find in the website, I'll walk you through the process of setting your first goal so you can plug it in. It doesn't matter that we're coming into whatever lesson. You can start applying it right now and start moving towards your goal. That's all that I've got. Keep being awesome, guys. I'll see you next week.